Listen. Try it. Have a plan. So many fifth graders are ready to go today, I can tell. I'm looking at you and you're showing me listener bodies, listener faces. I know you're gonna have your listener minds on right now. Awesome. My timer today, can we keep with Marisa? And then Sabanya, you'll track, all right? And I'm just gonna leave the dojo for right now, okay? I'm gonna be looking for scholars at the end of today who are doing a really excellent job using all of the expectations I just outlined. Okay, one last scan. Our hands free. Cicero has his hands free, his eyes are on me. Erock's eyes are on me. I have all eyes. Our voices are fun to learn. Readers, how many of you remember watching that video about the Arabian orcs in the zoo and learning about text structure, like problem and solution, remember? Chronological. How many of you know what I'm talking about? How many of you, once you learned about how that works, it was easier for you to read a nonfiction text? It's been easier for me. Well, guess what? There are other ways that nonfiction texts are a little bit confusing. And we're gonna learn a strategy to help us with that today. How many of you have ever heard of the word, show me a silent hand, hybrid? Hybrid means that it's a mix of two different things, right? We know that there are lots of examples of hybrids. There are hybrid animals. How many of you have heard of like a liger before? Half lion, half tiger. There are hybrid Pokemon, a mix of two Pokemon to make an even more powerful Pokemon. And the most common idea that I think of when I think of hybrids is I also think of my car, right? How my Prius that I drive has an engine for gas where fuel goes in, but it also has a battery that it can turn on if it runs out of gas. So, there are lots of examples of hybrids in real life, and guess what? Nonfiction also can be hybrid. We can put on our glasses. Everybody pretend like you're putting on your glasses. We can put on our glasses and we can see if a hybrid text is told in the form of a story or if it's telling us information. Nonfiction texts sometimes do that, and it's helpful to pay attention to if it's a hybrid text. Stop.
1 minute, 41 seconds.
All right. Watch me today as I show you an example of a hybrid text. I'm going to pull out my Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Disaster. How many of you remember this one? Yeah, I'm going to show you a picture of this, what happened in real life. This is nonfiction, right? Something that happens in real life, right? So this was a really tall building with several floors. That's the broken fire escape. Remember how we read about that? So watch me today as I go back and I look at my Fire Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Disaster text, and I am going to do this right now. I'm first going to look over here. Read. Then I'm going to look for signals. Then I'm going to annotate the text for signs of narrative or informational text. Is it telling me a story or is it giving me information? Remember I told all of you to get out to bring this coding nonfiction text sheet to the carpet or to your desk? Can you get this out and put it right in front of you so you can see it? You need this out right in front of you so you can see it. I'm looking for signs. Is it told in a story? Is there a character, a setting, a problem, and a solution? Or is it told in information? Is it going to tell me about a topic? Is it going to tell me details and ideas? Let's find out. Okay. The year was 1911. Many people were busy working in New York City, the 8th floor of a building. Many women were busy working. I'm already imagining that this is kind of told like a story, right? There's a setting. The setting is in New York. And it's 1911. I'm already picturing like those black and white pictures that we just saw. All of these women are in this factory, busy at work, working really hard, trying to make money for their families as immigrant women, trying to do the best they can. Let's keep reading. Many women were busy working, making blouses for the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. They used many materials to make blouses. Some materials included cotton and paper. So I'm imagining all these materials, lots of stuff that could potentially catch on fire, right? The 8th floor was full of cotton and paper. So I'm noticing like Eli said, the setting is in New York. It's at this place called the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, that picture we saw. And I'm noticing that we have characters. There's women, there's children, there's immigrants. Looking at your paper right now, what lens are we taking in this hybrid text? Is it telling a story right now? Or is it giving us information? Which one is it giving? And then I want you to hold your hand up when you know. Eli.
In my opinion, I think it's both because it's telling the story how it all happened, and it's also giving us details about how it happened, and it tells us there's a bunch of details like it's cotton waste factory.
How many of you feel that way too? Yeah, I felt the same way. Let's see if we can get more information as I keep reading. What happened? Remember this part, guys? The fire lasted less than 20 minutes. Notice for signs. When does it become a story or when does it become informational? 146 people died. Some workers could not be identified. Afterward, people asked questions. Why were the doors locked? Why were working women being treated so poorly? Many women who worked at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory were immigrants. They had moved to the United States from places like that were of Jewish or Italian heritage. Some workers were only 14. They needed to work. They needed to help and raise their families. This is telling me about a topic. It's telling me about the fire, right? This is information. I'm noticing that it's cause and effect. Remember how we learned about that? The cause is the fire. Then the fire escape. What happened with the fire escape? Who remembers? Oh, what happened with the fire escape? This is like such a big issue, right? Diego.
It broke and then everybody fell down.
It broke because there were so many people loading in trying to escape because the doors were locked. The ladder wasn't even tall enough for the firefighters to get to the 8th floor. There were so many issues. And what was the effect of this? 146 people died. And then later we learned that 100,000 people ended up protesting and marching for workers' rights. See how I read? And then I looked for signals by using my paper. And then I annotated the text. I drew my glasses signal and I actually wrote down where the setting was, who the characters were. I even underlined the problem. And I even then went on to noticing informational elements like Eli was mentioning, right? There's lots of information here that I'm learning about this disaster. Stop.
5 minutes, 19 seconds.
Now it's your turn to try it. Go ahead and get out your Bust-a-Move breakdancing text. I see that Eli is getting his out. I see that E-Rock is getting his out. So Silent Elise is ready.
Isn't that year when they took the emergency number 911? Because it's 17911. It's 7911.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a very astute observation. We should find that out. Remind me about that. Okay, so right now, to be the most successful you can be as a scholar, you want to have this text in front of you, and you also want your coding sheet, because this is going to help you a lot. And we're going to find out if this is a hybrid text or not. You're going to, with me, read this, and when you notice that there is a sign for narrative or informational, you're going to start pretending like you're putting your glasses on. Like you are noticing that it's a story or that is informational. So everybody get out your pencil or a pen, what you have with you, and we're going to follow along with me. I'm going to read it out loud, and you're going to show me when we notice a sign. 3, 2, 1. Following along with me with your voices off. Face off. A flat piece of cardboard box is on the ground. 2 dancers face each other. A big group of people stands around them. One dancer steps forward onto the flat box. He spins his body. He stands on his hands. People cheer. He spins on his head. What is he doing? He's breakdancing. Turn to your partner right now. It's your turn to try it. I want you to decide, is this a narrative hybrid text, or is it starting with information? Is it being told like a story? Is there a setting? Are there characters?
No.
Or is it being told like giving us information. Like breakdancing started back in 1930. This is information about all the breakdance moves. Which one is it and why? Turn to your partner. I'm looking for scholars who are using evidence in the text. Who's gonna be ready to go? When I clap twice, you clap louder. Go. So what type of narrative or expository lens is happening here? Do we know? Is there evidence?
I think it's stories because it's talking about people, what they're doing, and what steps are they taking, and what they're doing with their body.
Can you give us specific evidence in the text, Jesus? That we know it's kind of told in like the story form.
That piece of cardboard box is on the ground. Two dancers face each other. A big group of people stands around. One dancer steps forward onto the flat board. He spins his body like Brenda said he would.
So you're getting like a story, like an image in your mind, right? The setting, like you said, is the cardboard box on the ground, outside maybe, right? And we're imagining who are our characters. Who are our characters? The two breakdancers, right? I would go ahead and take my text, I would underline that part, and I would write down just like I did in my example that this is the setting and these are my characters. Scholars are doing such a wonderful job noticing that this is, in fact, told as what? Narrative or informational? Narrative. So we know that this is a narrative text. I know if I look at my coding nonfiction texts, I have characters, setting, and problem when I'm when I'm noticing my hybrid text is told as a story. Do I have a setting happening here at the very beginning of this text? Put your thumb up if you notice what the setting is in my text. This one's kind of tricky, but I want you to try. I see Mario's looking back and trying it. So when he goes back to his desk, he's going to be ready to go. Put your thumb up if you think you know the setting. Alexa's thumb is going up. E-Rock's thumb is going up. Alexa, loud and proud. Tracking Alexa. It's a setting where the characters are two break dancers, right? I might write that down. Let's do that together. Characters are break dancers. Where's the setting? Alexa, could you call in someone?
I don't know what really, but I think that it says one dancer steps onto the flat box.
What box? What does it say?
It says one dancer steps forward onto the flat board.
Yeah, so I'm probably imagining that we are where? On the ground, maybe outside on a cardboard box, yes?
Or there's sometimes places that are like sometimes abandoned.
Diego.
And people go in there to do dance off.
Yeah, maybe.
In an abandoned place.
Yeah, maybe there's a lot of space. People are going here to do dance offs, maybe practice.
Maybe they are like sometimes they do like on the street.
Tracking Sabanya. Can you say that one more time a little bit louder?
I think
Brenda's tracking Sabanya.
maybe they're on the street. Sometimes they on the street.
Yeah, maybe the setting is taking place on the street. See how we're in our mind, we're imagining this place?
Or maybe like the Funny Boys, they make their own place to practice.
Wow, what a great connection.
Then face off.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's a place where they don't have a lot of resources, but they're still having a lot of fun and making the best out of it, right? All right, let's read the next part because I want to make sure that you guys have time to try this on your own with your own text. Following along with me where it says, what is break dancing? I have a feeling this is when I'm going to be putting on some different glasses. Let's see if we're right. Break dancing is a kind of dancing. It is also called b-boying. Some moves are simple steps. Others are more difficult. Dancers spin. They spin on their hands, they spin on their bottoms, they spin on their heads. Dancers also balance. Dancers stand on their hands. They stand up, even stand upside down on their heads.
I know.
What kind of text are we reading now? This is an example of a hybrid. What is happening here? Cicero, close the book. Eyes on the board. Jocelyn,
Nonfiction.
complete sentence.
My opinion, this text is nonfiction because it says
So many scholars are tracking Jocelyn.
facts. For example, an example of the text says, what is breakdancing? Breakdancing is a kind of dancing. It is also called b-boy. I know this is a fact because it taught me something. Or answered a question.
So this is a fact that's answering a question, right? It's telling us what is breakdancing. What else does it teach us here? That is a great way to start us off. Yes, Giselle.
I think it's also nonfiction. And it also says, right here, it says tells about groups of beings.
It's telling us about groups.
Yeah. It's telling us different kinds of ways they spin on their bottoms, on their heads, and they can even go upside down.
Yeah, ways breakdancers move and spin, right? Let's write that down. That's excellent information. Ways breakdancers spin, right? And just like Giselle said, they spin on their hands, they spin on their bottoms, they spin on their heads, right? And they also balance too, right? So now it's giving us so much information. I see so many scholars annotating because that's what we're doing, right? We read, we look for signals, and then we annotate the text. All right. I know we took a little bit of extra time to try it, but I'm glad we did because I think we're ready to go now. Can you stop our time?
8 minutes for the
Okay, 8 minutes. I'm glad it took us 8 minutes though because I think we were able to learn it a lot more clearly and deeper because we practiced. Okay. Today, you are going to get a chance to try this with your own nonfiction text. I have a bunch right here on my lap. And what you're going to be doing is you might get a text on tsunamis. You might get a text on the greatest thieves of all time. You may even get an awesome text about WWE. Or you may even get a text. So many scholars are showing silent excitement. I know some of us can hardly contain ourselves, but if you are interested in carnivorous plants that eat meat, that's another text. If you want to choose the text that you would like to read today, you need to make sure that you get ready to write your plan. So it's time to get ready to open up your notebook, and I'm going to pull up on the screen what your plan is today to help you get started. Your plan is, I see so many scholars are quickly opening their notebooks with so much urgency, trying to get started so that they can get a chance to pick their text. Let me pull this up so everyone can see what they need to do. So today, as you read, your goal is to, you can use this sentence starter to help you. My goal is to. If you would like to pick your text, be specific. Look at your coding nonfiction texts. What is your goal to do today? This is your paper, your ticket to success today. How are you going to determine if the nonfiction text you're reading is a hybrid, and why is that important? Yes?
My plan is to see if my texts are expository or narrative.
Awesome. And can we be a little bit more specific? I think that's a great start. How can you say how you know? What are some signals that we know it's a narrative?
I read the story. For narrative, reads like a story.
It reads like a story.
And for expository, it tells us about a topic that gives us information.
It tells us about a topic that gives us information. This is what's going to help us. After I read, am I done? No, I look for signals and then I'm going to annotate the text just like we did together and just like in my example. You're going to write all over your example. All right. When I see that you're writing your plan, I'm going to pass out the text to you, and you're going to start doing this right at your spot, right now. You're not going to move. You're just going to hang out where you are, nice and comfortable, and get started at right where you are. Sound good?
Sound good.
All right. If I see you writing like the wind, and if you're done early, you can get out your nonfiction text and read it to self.
www.